When you start something with a lot of energy, do you lose it halfway through and wonder why you can't keep going? If I told you that the key to amazing results isn't ability, luck, or even motivation, but building unbreakable consistency, like Miyamoto Musashi did to become a legend, what would you say? We'll show you how to stay focused, controlled, and consistent every day so that your goals stop being dreams and start coming true in this video. Step 1. Tie your habit to a daily anchor. Structure is great for consistency. As a first step, connect your new habit to something you already do every day. This is called your daily anchor. Tie something like meditation to brushing your teeth if you want to do it more often. If you want to keep a blog, link it to making coffee in the morning. Adding a new behavior to an old routine makes it more likely that it will happen. Musashi thought that life should have order. His life was ruled by practice, thought, and improvement. He didn't just let his growth happen by chance. He made discipline a part of every day. He knew that if something is important, it shouldn't depend on his mood or drive. It should just be a normal part of life. When you use daily supports, you stop getting tired of making choices. You don't have to think about when to do the habit because it just happens after something else. This keeps things from being inconsistent and makes new habits seem natural. Think of it as making a blade sharp. Swordsmiths don't just sharpen swords for no reason. The blade never gets dull because he always sharpens it at the same time. Musashi did the same thing with his training. He based it on the flow of his life. Which small habit do I want to make a part of something I do every day? When you do this, being consistent is second nature, and over time, you build energy that leads to amazing results. Step 2. Use a Seinfeld calendar. Accountability that can be seen is the second key. Picture a calendar with a big red X on it for every day that you do your habit. The run turns into something you don't want to break over time. To write jokes every day, Jerry Seinfeld used this method, which is why it's called the Seinfeld calendar. Before calendars were popular, Musashi knew how powerful runs could be. He kept up a streak of training swordsmanship, strategy, and self-reflection that lasted his whole life. He never skipped a day because if he did, the beat would get off track. He didn't think of training as something different from life. A Seinfeld calendar helps you see how far you've come. You don't just have hazy thoughts like, I think I'm getting better. Instead, you see proof. A chain of effort that gets longer every day. You want to protect the chain more as it gets longer. Identity comes from consistency, and skill comes from identity. By drawing out your progress, you can tell yourself every day of the person you are becoming. The streak is no longer just a sign. It tells your story. Step by step, walk the 1,000-mile road, Musashi said one time. Asterisk, this idea is shown in the Seinfeld calendar. Every day, one step at a time, you make a chain of events that can't be broken. To protect that chain, you also protect your future success. Step 3. Lower the barrier to entry. Too much detail is another thing that can hurt uniformity. People put off habits when they feel heavy. The answer is to make it easier to start the habit. Make it so simple that it seems impossible to avoid. In battle, Musashi knew this to be true. He thought that things should be simple, not fancy. His swordsmanship was clear and effective, and he never made things too hard by adding extra touches that weren't needed. His practice would last forever because he made every step easier by lowering the resistance. If your goal is to work out, don't make them spend an hour at the gym. Start by working out with your own body for 5 minutes at home. You should only promise to read 1 page at a time if you want to read. The key is speed. Most of the time, you do more once you start, but you've already won if you don't. By lowering the bar, excuses are no longer valid. Since you only need a few minutes, you no longer say, I don't have time. It's not possible to say, I'm too tired, because the action is too small to fight. These little things add up over time, making the habit stronger. Musashi's way was never about making big moves. It was about making the basics better over time. By making it easier to start, you make sure that your habits will last through resistance, tiredness, and a lack of drive. Because of this, stability is a given. Step 4. Embrace the minimum viable action. Being consistent doesn't mean being great. It means showing up even when you're feeling bad. The idea of the minimum viable action comes into play here. On days when you're tired, do the smallest amount of your habit. You should walk around the block instead of running 5 miles. Write 1 sentence for every 500 words you write. Musashi knew how important it was to keep the blade sharp. He practiced the bare minimum even when he wasn't in fight to keep his edge and never lose his rhythm. It was clear to him that skipping practice altogether was more dangerous than exercising badly. Your streak is safe because of the minimum viable action. It helps you stick to the habit even when things get hard. The way you act shows yourself that you are always the same. Over time, this makes discipline that can't be broken. A lot of people give up because they believe that working hard should always be great. But little things add up. When you do the same small thing every day for years, you get good at it. The samurai who had never lost was not great by making huge jumps, but by moving steadily every day. What's the smallest thing I can do from my habit when I'm tired, busy, or stressed? Promise that you will never go a day without doing at least that. This will make your stability impossible to break. Step 5. Create a consistency contract. A consistency contract is a promise to oneself that their habits and actions will not change, making it harder to ignore. It is important because thoughts and plans can change, but commitments written down or spoken out loud have weight. Musashi, a Japanese martial artist, wrote 21 rules for living in his The Way of Walking Alone, each like a deal he had to keep with himself. These rules were not just ideas, but promises that could not be broken. In modern times, a consistency contract turns goals from things you can choose to do into things you have to do for yourself. Before making your contract, make sure you have a clear idea of your habit, goal, or practice. Write down what you're going to do, when and how you're going to do it, and add a measure of responsibility. This could be showing the contract to a friend, making it public, or giving small penalties for days not kept. A consistency contract is seen as a way to strengthen character by emphasizing the kind of person you are becoming. For example, instead of writing, "I will work out for 30 minutes," write, "I am a disciplined person who puts my health first and works out every day." This identity-based design ensures everything fits with the version of yourself you want to be. Musashi's philosophy of discipline is not temporary, it is a way of life. By making your promise official in a consistency contract and treating it as holy, your habits become an unbreakable rhythm that pushes you towards mastery. Step 6. Focus on identity. Habits based on one's identity are the strongest, as they reflect who you truly are. Miyamoto Musashi lived by this concept, making decisions and actions like a warrior, strategist, and artist. This made his actions naturally consistent. When you focus on your identity, your deeds become more in line with how you see yourself. For example, instead of setting a goal to work out, say, "I am an athlete," your actions become something that shows who you are. For example, if you want to become a writer, don't just set a goal to write a certain amount of words daily, become a writer. Even small things like writing every day help strengthen this identity, making it easier to stay steady and keep going when things get tough. The story of Musashi demonstrates the power of identity in making decisions and habits. Being disciplined and undefeated samurai allowed him to do so without thinking about whether to practice or train. Making habits a part of who you want to be can make it harder to tell the difference between what you do and who you are over time. Putting attention on your personality also makes you stronger when things go wrong. Problems, changes in motivation, and failures are all part of life. When habits are connected to who you are, these problems don't control how you act. Musashi's unwavering personality allowed him to stay disciplined and strong even during tough times. To apply this theory, ask yourself, who do I want to become? And picture that person clearly, including their habits, actions, and way of thinking. Doing small, steady things every day helps you feel more like who you are, improving habits and learning more about yourself. Consistency becomes easier over time because you're not pushing yourself to do things but being the person you were meant to be. Step 7. Celebrate the act, not the outcome. It's not about chasing results. It's about appreciating the work, focus, and daily actions that get you there. This rule comes from Miyamoto Musashi's idea that becoming a master wasn't about winning every fight or showing off to other people, but about showing up every day and working on your skills, techniques, and strategies. To use this lesson, stop thinking about the results and start thinking about the act itself. For example, enjoy the time you spend writing every day, even if it's not great or the chapter isn't done. Even if you didn't set a personal best, keep your promise to show up and move. This way of thinking makes you less afraid of failing and more open to growth. Every effort is a win, even if the result isn't what you were hoping for right away. Celebrating the act makes identity-based uniformity stronger. When you honor the process, you make the person you are becoming stronger. You are more than just someone who is after goals. You are a writer, thinker, athlete, and focused person. Doing things that are in line with your morals over and over again makes you more consistent. Being a master is not a single event, but a process. You set yourself up for long-term success when you enjoy the act and get involved in the process. Because you have built the habits, discipline, and mindset that lead to victories, they will come to you easily. In short, appreciate every step you take and the hard work, focus, courage to show up, and small decisions that add up to big results.